I think it's so important for us to allow ourselves to just be ourselves, to allow ourselves to express ourselves freely, to act spontaneously, and to not be so concerned about how others are going to receive us or what they're going to think of us. Because if we're constantly concerned about the world and how we're going to be received, then we're always going to live in this prison of fear. We're always going to get in our own way, hold ourselves back, and keep limiting ourselves, limiting our growth, our happiness, and our peace. And I know that I would much rather experience love, happiness, peace within myself, even if that meant being rejected or made fun of or whatever we may fear externally. I'd much rather have that than to be accepted externally, but to be inwardly suffering, to be limiting myself, not being myself, just for the sake of another person's acceptance and approval. But so many of us do this. So many of us judge ourselves according to what we think others will think of us. And really, when you are fearing the opinions of another person, when you're worried someone else is going to judge you, that is you judging yourself. Those thoughts are arising within your mind. So recognize these thoughts, these feelings of fear, of self-judgment. When you worry someone's going to judge you, notice that thought. See it as fear. See it as the ego trying to protect you, trying to uphold this self-image. Notice that. Thank it for trying to protect you, and then let it go and allow yourself to just be yourself anyway. Because the more that you be yourself, the more you let go of that fear, you start to experience this freedom, this joy, this release, letting go of this tension that we hold. And when you let that go, you allow yourself to just be as you are, to be yourself, to be free. Nothing compares to that. And when you get a taste of that freedom of just being yourself, you'll never want to give that up again. You'll always want to choose to be yourself, to choose freedom, to choose love, rather than fear, and rather than being imprisoned by these thoughts of self-judgment or judgment from others and fear, anxiety, all of that. So much of this is just the mind and our lack of awareness of the mind. And so if we want to have freedom, we want to have peace, we have to look at our minds. We have to look at our thoughts. We have to look at the stories we tell ourselves, all of these concepts, all of these beliefs that limit us. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. All these stories, they're just thoughts. They're just concepts that are holding us back. So notice these thoughts as thoughts, and don't even fight with them. Just let them go. Just observe them. The very act of observing your thoughts starts to liberate yourself from them. You create this gap, this distance between yourself as awareness and these thoughts that are arising within your awareness. So try not to allow yourself to get caught up in the mind. It's difficult to do because this pattern of constantly thinking, our addiction to thought, is so deeply ingrained within us. But we start to experience freedom when we start to recognize these thoughts, when we start to become aware of them, when we start to no longer believe in them as being true representations of reality, but when we see them as conditioned thoughts, as verbalizations of deeper emotions like fear, anxiety, worry, self-doubt, we can start to inquire into the nature of these thoughts. Where are they coming from? Are they serving us? And if they're not serving us, can we let them go? Can we release these thoughts? And can we be ourselves freely, authentically? Because as long as you're worried about what others think of you, as long as you are trying to live up to some image or some ideal, it's always going to come into conflict with the reality of who you are and the reality of each moment. So let these thoughts go. Let go of the attachment and be yourself. Experience that freedom that comes from being who you are as you are. Much love.